Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Live season preview coming your way. Shout out to everyone in the chat. What's up, Dicko? What's up, Lauren? What's up, Kels? What's up, Jeff Jabroni? I haven't seen you in a while, my man. Hope you're doing good. I'm ready to roll this season. And last year, I felt like we did extremely good. And I was happy with the result. I was happy with the college fund bets. But I'm extra excited for this year. I'm really looking forward to what we can do. Now, I'm going to start with the Patreon questions tonight. Then I'll work to YouTube. And then I think I'll get some live guests on if time's permitting. So I hope everyone's doing good. And we're about 8 days from the NFL. The first Vegas spread video will be up Sunday. I'll probably have that up around noon Eastern on Sunday. So I might as well just start with the Patreon questions. And what's up, Drew? Yeah, I was a little bit late. My bad on that. I had a situation. But we're good. We're ready to roll this year. Okay, let me get to the first question. I think we got like something like 30 questions on Patreon. Dom Parrish. Hey, John, almost there, huh? It's just pretty much a week to go. Anyhow, what do you think of Harbaugh's chances in week one? I always take new coaches in their first game, but what do you think? I get the methodology, but just to go off, I'm not really too excited about a lot of these new coaches. Like, I'm looking at Gerard Mayo. I'm looking at Callahan with the Titans, and I think it could be a disaster with both of those teams, even though I like some of the things the Titans did during the offseason. As for Harbaugh, I think this is the most complicated team, the most complicated situation right now with the Chargers, because instantly we know Harbaugh's a really good coach. We saw what he did. He went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. We all seen him work magic in the NFL, not even talking about college. And they play the Raiders week one, and I'm worried about the Raiders. I think they have the worst quarterback situation in the league. So, yeah, I do think the Chargers win, but with that hook, that's one I'm still thinking about. And I think the Raiders will be really competitive. I like their defense. I don't like the offensive coordinator. I like Antonio Pierce, but you do worry about the Raiders quarterback situation. With the hook on that one, I think it makes it more complicated. That's probably one I'm definitely staying away from. Still thinking about it, though. This is from Il Subliminal, new Patreon member, here and ready for the money, money, money. Thank you, sir. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, here we go. Let's get to, like the way Patreon lays out the questions is bad. So sorry for the blank space. Okay, this is from Marcy. John, week one is finally here. I've missed your videos. Thank you, Marcy. I appreciate it. So tell me your thoughts on Caleb Williams, boom or bust. I think I'm leaning more towards boom, but I do have to say something. The absolute glazing of Caleb Williams after that touchdown run in the preseason, it did go a little bit far. I actually felt like that Bengals performance was the most concerning of his during the preseason. I really liked what he did against the Bills. It was first string versus first string on the road. I was impressed with what he did in Buffalo. I felt like that was the impressive mark. And I felt like everyone else missed the mark. And I get it. There were big highlight plays in that Bengals game. But we have to remember, like that Bengals defense and the offense as well was all second and third string. He's playing and balling up and carving up some guys who are going to be driving your Amazon delivery tomorrow. And there's no disrespect. And I'm not taking anything away from Caleb Williams, but I do think the glazing has went a little bit hard. With that being said, I think he's going to be pretty good. I will tell you who I'm excited about out of this rookie class. I'm not trying to be contrarian, but I'm more excited about Jaden Daniels. And I don't know about you guys, but I felt like he had the cleanest performance during the preseason. Now we can all look at Bo Nix and him playing against third stringers. He did get some action versus ones, and I'm not low on him. Bo Nix is a lot more athletic than I thought. I feel like Jaden Daniels is the rookie quarterback I'm most excited about. I felt like he did some of the stuff in preseason that's most relevant to a real football game that actually counts. So that's where I'm at. And what's up, Zamora? What's up, Tasha? What's up, Ad? What's up, Coon Shay? Nice, man. I nice to see you from Seattle. I don't know if I butchered the name. I'm normally pretty good with names, but sometimes I suck. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to filter through the questions. West Side Shy, feels good to be around the home and the money pick again. It feels great to be back. It's a long off season. And yes, the NFL season is a grind. We always have to be churned on every single day of the week if we're going to try to gamble. If we're just like watching with friends, that's another thing. But yeah, I am ready for the NFL. The offseason is way too long. It's always been long. This year, I did start getting the itch a little bit earlier than normal. Like there's a point in time when you start missing football a lot, and you can try to like paper over the cracks, so to speak. You can try to pretend to care about like the NBA. I watch a lot of soccer. I hear baseball's actually been pretty good this year, but I'll be honest, like the only sport I care about is the NFL. If it really gets down to the brass tacks. Always learning. Thank you for joining on Patreon, my man. Thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs as a wild card team at plus 250? That division rarely has a repeat winner. I appreciate everything you do. Hoping for another good season. Glad to be back, man. I can't see the Cowboys winning the NFC East. And I don't know if that's me being dramatic because, listen, they did nothing in the offseason. They've only gotten worse. And I just can't see them winning the division. So firstly, I think you're on the right track. I think their path into the playoffs is with the wild card. And we know the NFC's not as strong as the AFC. Let's be realistic about it. So I actually like it for the price, but I am worried about the Cowboys. I don't know about you guys. And I'm sure we'll talk about the Jets later tonight. But the fact that the Cowboys lost Tyron Smith, one of the better left tackles in the league, I felt like it didn't get talked about enough. And him going to the Jets is a huge loss for the Cowboys. And I do feel like that offensive line is getting older. Dallas has always drafted well to replace the offensive line. So I could be wrong. I think they're going to have two rookies starting. But I am worried about Dallas. I'm worried about the depth on defense. I'm worried about Brandon Cooks still being a number 2 in this league. I am worried about the other receivers on the depth chart. I just am. And I am worried about this team's mental fragility. Like, listen, that woodshed beating they took to the Packers, I don't think you should like shake that off and say, get them next year, boys. Like, I don't think you can shake that off. Like, that type of beating the Packers put into them is the type that leaves marks and scars. And we're still left with the same Cowboys issues. And when I talk about depth on defense, listen, look at their interior defensive linemen. Look at their linebacking core. Bland's already hurt in the secondary. Feel like this is a thin team. And one thing we need to remember about the Dallas Cowboys, their defense, they rely on two things: forcing top 5 turnovers in the league. I think that's hard to do year in and year out. And they also rely on playing with the lead. And I'm not sure they're going to be getting out to 14-point first quarter leads this year like before. Is Dallas going to be able to run the ball? I mean, look at they got Dalvin Cook. He's coming in. He couldn't cut it with the Jets last year. Huge Dalvin Cook's fan, but him and Zeke Elliott with a few young, unproven guys doesn't really satiate me. It makes me worried. So yeah, man, there's a lot of worrying things about the Cowboys. And you saw the Bills laid out the blueprint last year. You run the ball down that defense's throat. And if Dallas gets a 10-point lead on you, yeah, you're in problems because they can rush the passer. Micah Parsons probably is the best defensive player in this league, in my opinion. But if you just run the ball right down the middle, get physical with them, I think you can handle this defense. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I think the plus 250 for the wild card is I don't think it's a problem at all. I think it's actually a pretty good bet for the value. But it's more so because the NFC isn't as good as the AFC. Joey Howard, do I need Joe Burrow this season with Tua throwing 5K yards this season? Should I drop him and Hurts? I would not drop Hurts in fantasy football. Out of that, fantasy-wise, Jalen Hurts. And we have to remember, like, Jalen Hurts, I think he did that knee week 6 or 7. He didn't cry a lot. He didn't cry about that injury last year, but you could see it affected the mobility. Like, I would go Jalen Hurts. Like, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Like, is Jalen Hurts great throwing the ball? No, not really. But I think his running will help. I'm bullish on the Eagles this year, but I don't know if you guys have seen. Did I miss a super chat? No, I didn't. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the stories coming out about Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I actually tend to believe it. I mean, because that team completely folded last year. But I would go Jalen Hurts out of those 3 quarterbacks. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the next Patreon question. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Okay, here we go. Okay. Warren Flowers. So what's your thoughts on who's going to be coming out of the NFC East this year? Eagles. I'm bullish on the Eagles. I feel like they did enough to make the defense better. I actually feel like them getting Bryce Huff. I think Bryce Huff's going to be better this year than Hassan Reddick. And it doesn't look like Hassan Reddick's going to play for the Jets as of right now. But even if you take everything out of the equation to say, who would you rather have at DM, Bryce Huff or Hassan Reddick? I'm taking Bryce Huff. I think his upside's huge. So, yeah, man. And the Eagles are still going to have a top 5 offensive line, even without Kelce. And I felt like they needed to get younger, and they did. The Dotson trade, I think people are getting a little bit too excited about that. But still, Eagles making good moves. And I feel like they know how to manipulate the draft better because with NIL, guys are staying in college more and longer, blah, blah, blah. What that means is the draft is thinner than it was before. So you didn't see them trying to get 6th or 7th round picks. They just kind of had the max, 5th round, and then I'm just getting rid of the pick. I think that's the play you have to do with NIL. RG, 2 underdogs you think will win outright. What's up, RG? I like the Commanders to win week 1. I'm not committing to it because there's a lot of shit that is fluid going into week 1. I'm not going to commit to it before the show. But the Commanders, I think winning on the road to the Buccaneers is probable. And I have to say, I don't know about you guys. I know we got some Bucs fans, Jarrett Hart. But I think there's going to be a Baker Mayfield regression. And I actually like a lot of the stuff the Bucs did. I feel like the offensive line is going to be better. Did I like them trading away Carlton Davis? No, and I'm worried about that second corner position, but I'm also worried about the age of this team. When you look at impact players, look at Mike Evans, look at Vita Vea, look at Levante David. I mean, it is an older team when you look at their stars and difference makers, and I think there's going to be a Baker Mayfield regression. The other one in terms of upsets, let me bring up the spreads because I was thinking about this today actually. I know everyone wants to go for the Steelers to be the upset against the Falcons. I'm not touching that game. I actually think the Titans. actually think the Titans against the Bears. Like I like the Bears going into this year. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Titans can catch them flat-footed. But yeah, we know the Titans' offensive line can't block a lick. But at least when you play Chicago, you really only have to contend with Montez Sweat. You don't have to contend with anyone dominant in the interior. So at least the Titans can get by there. And the Titans secondary, I do wonder if the Titans secondary is going to be good. Cals, Lawson, what do I think about the Steelers defense of Russell Wilson with them weapons? Okay, let's get to the Steelers. I've always been a Mike Tomlin fan, and I did give him credit on the college fund bet video because there's no way we would have picked Steelers -3 against the Packers last year if it wasn't for Mike Tomlin. So I'm just putting that out there right now. I feel like he's too safe. I feel like everyone's too fucking comfortable there. I really do feel like everyone's too comfortable there. Firstly, look at how long he held on to Matt Canada. Look at how long. Look at how long Kenny Pickett kept getting starts. And when I saw Kenny Pickett traded in the offseason, when I saw them get Justin Fields, I felt like, and then I see Arthur Smith come in, I feel like, wow. I feel like this is the rejuvenation they needed. Like this is the injection that this stagnant offense needed. And then I'm just left wanting. And they never gave Justin Fields a chance to win this job. What has Russell Wilson done the last 3 years to just walk in and take a fucking starting job? What has he done? And everyone wants to spit out stats about the Broncos. Fucking Sean Payton went like 7-1 with Teddy Bridgewater, and Bridgewater had better stats. Does that mean Teddy Bridgewater was awesome? Or was it Sean Payton? And I feel like Russell Wilson got too much credit for that second half Broncos renaissance, and he's just not good. And he lost his athleticism. He's constantly checking down. He's not that accurate. He's got a good deep ball. But other than that, like, I just think Russell Wilson's cooked. I think he's cooked. Like, I think it's over. And they're like, trust me, like, I grew up watching the Vikings and Bills. Like, I know a dud when I see one. Like, I know when Gus Frerotte walks in the room and when he doesn't. Like, I know these guys. I know these Kelly Holcombs. And if he didn't have that Russell Wilson name, he would be looked at like a Jake Delhomme, Kelly Holcomb. Jake Delhomme made it to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's that tier quarterback. Like, honestly, Kels, if your life was on the line, your life's on the line. You have 3 quarterbacks to choose from: Russell Wilson, famous Jameis Winston, or Sam Darnold. I'm going with Darnold or Jameis Winston over Russell Wilson. Like, the film just isn't good. It just isn't good. Like, sorry, like, I know I'm defending Justin Fields a lot on this show. Like, he has issues. He's an absolute turnover machine. But isn't this just so enigmatic of the Steelers? Do the same thing. Oh, we're going to try to win games 13-10 in 2024 NFL. Like it's 1968. Like, I love defense. I love running the football. But they can't even run the football. They can't block anyone. Did anyone see that offensive line trying to block Rousseau in the preseason game against the Bills? I mean, they can't block anyone. They can't pass block. They can't run block. So what are they going to do? And I don't mean to get too deep into schematics, but we don't need to be NFL offensive coordinators to realize my light went off. I don't know what's up with that. We don't need to be NFL offensive coordinators to say, man, Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson is not a good schematic fit. Obviously, Justin Fields and Arthur Smith is a schematic fit you want. And I do feel like the Steelers are a bit short on offense to start with. I do feel like you're looking at that number 2 receiver position. That's troublesome. Freiermuth's awesome. Pickens is one of the most underrated receivers in this league with Drake London. It just does feel like everything got a bit safe. It does feel like everything got a bit safe in the Steelers situation. It just feels like someone riding out the marriage for the kids at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah. Ricky, I'm low on the Rams, man. I'm low. Like, I know the Rams are getting a lot of hype, and I get why people are excited. Matt Stafford throws absolute bullets, but I think people are underestimating how much Aaron Donald does and how much he changes games and how good Raheem Morris was as defensive coordinator last year. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on those factors. But if you have Kupp, Nakua, and Matt Stafford, and I do want to give the Rams credit, though. Like, I like what they did getting Jonah Jackson at interior guard from Detroit. Like, so if they have a great run game, maybe that can save the defense. I'm just worried about the Rams in terms of how are they going to replace Aaron Donald, and simply you don't replace Aaron Donald. I mean, their strategy so far is pretty much to draft the whole Florida State defensive line. We'll see how it goes, man. Here we go. Sean Moore. Merry Christmas, everyone. Well, it feels like Christmas. Sean, you completely encapsulated my feeling. It really is. Like, I get the Christmas spirit once we're in September ready for football. You know that feeling. Hope your offseason has been well. Yes, it's been good, Sean. My question is on week 1. We are figuring out who's who. Do you think it's smart to go anytime touchdown bets on some big names such as Saquon Barkley, Mark Andrews, Hill, just to name a few, or are you seeing something that jumps off the page? I think I was looking at some surprises. Firstly, I think Justin Jefferson against the Giants, I felt like the odds were good. I would go Saquon Barkley. I absolutely love the Saquon Barkley take for anytime touchdown. Now with anytime touchdown, it's tough without me being able to see all the odds. So I'm gonna, as I go through these teams, I'm gonna come back to it. But mine would be Justin Jefferson. I think he's gonna come back strong. Giant secondary can't cover a lick. I think that's a good matchup, and I think the odds will be more conducive. I haven't seen them release any odds for anytime touchdown when I went to look, but correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, here we go. Okay, Carson Slonsey. What's up, Carson? Would love a division winners parlay from you. Can you hook the boys up so we can squad ride? Okay. I actually did think about this. Now, obviously, this isn't a good idea to bet. No one should be betting this if it's a high sum. But okay, let's go to the divisions. AFC East, give me the Jets. AFC South, give me the Texans. AFC West, give me the Raiders. AFC North, bro, it's so tough to pick against the Ravens. But give me the Bengals for AFC North. We can't go all favorites. Okay, so that's my AFC. For NFC, give me the Lions for NFC North. I kind of think the Bears will finish second, as crazy as that sounds. Now, for NFC South Falcons, listen, I, the odds have been up and down all year for the NFC South futures with the Falcons. Man, the minute they signed Kirk Cousins, I've been in on the Falcons. NFC West, 49ers. I do see some people picking the Rams. I don't think the Rams finished second in the NFC West. So, yeah, I don't. Am I missing a division? NFC East, Eagles. That's where I'm going at as of right now. But like you said in the question, there's a lot of moving pieces here. Okay, let's get to next question. What's up, Jarrett Hart? Let's get this money. Did I get through, bro? This is just this Patreon question thread is all over the place. Okay, let's get to some YouTube questions as I bring these up. Okay, hope everyone's doing good. Hit the like button. Vegas spread week 1 video will be up Sunday. I'm going to have it up noon, 1 o'clock Eastern, same time as a game. So let's go. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm okay. No, I didn't say Raiders. I said Chiefs. Obviously, Chiefs. It would be bold to go Raiders to win that division. Like I said, I'm worried about the offense coordinator. I think it's the worst quarterback situation in the league. I might have even started Aiden O'Connell. Like, obviously, Minshew's better than him, but yeah, like, my bad. Chiefs. Obviously, Chiefs. No, maybe I did see the Raiders. What's up, John Savala? Let's get this money, man. Yeah, I do think Derrick Henry is a good play for anytime touchdown. I do, and I've been thinking about this Chiefs Ravens game a lot. And the hard part of this game is my instant inclination was to pick the Ravens. I think the Ravens could win that game. And I do think the Derrick Henry pickup was one of the best pickups in the world. Like, that's something we see in video games. Like, you never see teams like this go out and get an old running back who can still play. And Derrick Henry is an absolute freak of nature. Like, I don't think he's fallen off at all. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he's going to fall off at all. One coach I do like, one of the new coaching hires I do like is Mike McDonald for the Seahawks. I do wonder how the Ravens defense is going to cope without him. That defense is really, really good. So, yeah, man, I think Derrick Henry's a safe bet for anytime touchdown. I do wonder what the odds are. I have to see the odds if the juice is worth the squeeze. Okay, here we go. I do think Cooper Kupp will have a good year. I do. And I am curious if Nakua is going to tear up the whole league like he did last year. I am very curious about that. I'm betting towards no. Like, I think Nakua has more regression, and I think Cooper Kupp comes back strong. Didn't he have like that hamstring last year? I remember he did it. He was out for like 4 weeks. He came back, and then he did it again. I think Cooper Kupp will be back. Carlos, Chiefs to win the division at minus 230. I wouldn't bet that. Like, I just don't think that's a good bet. Like, I would prefer the Texans at minus 110. That's what I would pick. And I did have a Patreon question about future bets that I wanted to get into. Where is that question? Okay, 1 second. Hold with me. Okay. Where is that question? Someone was asking about it was an interesting question about future bets. It was something we needed to. Okay, I'll tell you one team I'm going to fade this year, and I'm not necessarily talking week 1. I would not be surprised if the Colts beat the Texans week 1. Does that change anything to do with the season or any way I'm attacking the season? No, it doesn't. Like, I'm bullish on the Texans. I was bullish last year. I feel like the Texans had the best offseason by far. They got better in every area. So I'm bullish on the Texans, but I think the Colts could win that first game. But even with that being said, I'm out on the Colts. I think the Colts could finish last in that division. And listen, I've been telling you guys since he came in the league, like Anthony Richardson has no accuracy. And I highly doubt, it's dubious to say the least, that Anthony Richardson's going to stay healthy this year. I just don't see him staying healthy. And I'm going to get against that. And I'm also going to bring in something that I don't like to do is this type of analysis I'm about to spit right now. You guys remember how good Shane Steichen was at calling plays, designing games? Like, remember that Steelers game on Saturday? He just absolutely performed a masterclass for Minshew. And to win games of Minshew, for them to almost make the playoffs. That man deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. And I think Shane Steichen's a great coach. But here's the issue. When these offensive guys come in and tear it up as head coach the first year, the second year, teams are going to be caught up. And yes, that's fine that teams catch up. It doesn't mean that coach or offense is going to struggle. But if you don't have a quarterback, if you have questionable quarterback play, I think that's going to come and bite you in the ass. And I think it will happen this year. And I think this Colts offense actually is pretty decent. Like, I do like the draft picks. I feel like Josh Downs is very good in the slot. We know Pittman can play, although way overrated. Jonathan Taylor back, pretty good offensive line, but you're staring down the barrel of Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. And I think Anthony Richardson, when he's healthy, I think he could have huge games. Remember week 2 last year against the Texans on the road, he completely tore them up just by running the football. But I don't think that's something I want to get behind for a full season. That's just not something I'm going to fade that. Secondly, like, I feel like they have the worst secondary in the league, specifically corner position. They added a lot of pass rushers, and they do have some decent rushers. I just don't think that's anything to change the game, and I think this defense is vulnerable. Grover Stewart, he's banged up going into the year. I think you can run it on him, and I think you can throw it on him. So, and I do think some people are a little bit overcritical of the Jags. Now, when I say overcritical of the Jags, like, listen, I get it. Last year, weren't they like 7-3, 8-3? And remember that game on Monday night where they lost to the Bengals backup? Like, obviously, the way they ended last year was terrible. And do I like the Jaguars roster construction? No. Do I like paying top dollar to above average receivers like Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk? Do I love that? Absolutely not. Like, that's not my idea of roster construction. I'm not going to overpay for a number 2. Like, I'm just not going to do it unless that guy is a dog. But I do think Trevor Lawrence will have a steadier year. And I do think the Jags will be in the mix. Like, I don't think they're going to knock off the Texans, but if I'm a Texans bettor, the only threat I see in that division is the Jags. Okay, so man, and if I missed your Patreon questions, I'm sorry, because I listen, like, I don't even know what's going on with my feed right now. So, okay. I'm pretty sure I got everyone. So, okay, let's get to the YouTube chat. Okay. Dude, John Wiley, we're gonna be spinning winners the whole year. We're gonna be spinning winners the whole year. Yeah, and Michael, man, I agree. Like, I don't like touching futures when it's an injury-riddled quarterback. I hate doing that. That's just not something I'm high on. Okay, Jarrett Hart, what's up, Jarrett? John, I know you're high on the Eagles and have your opinions of love. What are your thoughts on the Friday matchup as of today? Eagles. I really like the Eagles. Um, I really like the Eagles and I really like the under. Like I think the Eagles defense got better. Last year that defense was terrible. I, here's one question about the Eagles. Now, if I tell you your team got Vic Fangio as a defensive coordinator throughout the last 20 years in the NFL, that's normally good news, right? Uh, but man, I don't know what happened with Vic Fangio in Miami last year. I just don't. It was absolutely pathetic. And then we had players calling him out all off season. But in terms of that matchup, like I think Hurts is going to be back. And like I said earlier in the show, I feel like Hurts couldn't run last year. After week 6, week 7, whenever he did that knee, I feel like his running was just completely taken out of the equation, completely taken out. So yeah, I think the Eagles win that game, and I do wonder about some of this Packers hype because like I get all the wide receivers are young. I actually really like the Packers tight end room. I get all these receivers are young, but outside of Christian Watson in that receiving core, who do you trust to win man to man? I don't know if I trust those guys, and I do wonder if we see some Jordan Love regression because listen, if you judge Jordan Love on the last 6, 7 games of the year last year, yeah, man, you would probably say Packers win the game. He's going to slang it. He's going to go for over 300 against the Philly secondary that couldn't cover anyone last year. Like, yeah, I can see why probably most of the money is going to be on the Packers, but I'm going to Eagles because I think the Eagles are going to run the ball better. I do think the Eagles got better on defense. I'm excited for that. I do have to take a deep think about it. What's up, Noah? What's up? What's up, 10 Baseball? Yeah, man. Great to be back, man. Great to be back. I am King. Sup with you, J Money. You think the new dynamic kickoff will produce a lot of big plays this year, later in the year? Um, this is even a question to you, bro, because I felt like this new kickoff rule, I'm not in love with it, but I do want to see kickoff return. So I guess it's the only way. That's how they box us in to accepting fake football and watering it down. Like, very positive going into this year, but when they try to decay the game, that's just something that really irks me. But anyway, so yeah, man, I feel like with the new kickoff, they need to move the kicker back 5 yards. And there's a lot of talk about other things, like if it's a touchback, oh, we should move it to the 35. I don't know, man. 35 for a fucking touchback. I'm not with that. I think they should move the kicker back 5 yards, maybe even more. Maybe even more. I don't know how long these motherfuckers are kicking it now, but we know they're kicking it longer than before. And I feel like that would create the returns. If we have returns, then I think we're going to see some big plays. At the very least, I think we'll see some big plays out of this later in the year because we know when it gets cold, when you kick the ball, it doesn't travel as far. And just to get back to the Steelers, you want to know one thing that got me excited about the Steelers this year? Listen, we see the new kickoff rule, and then I see them sign Cordero Patterson. I mean, he's the closest thing to Devin Hester we'll probably ever see, probably because they'll get rid of the kickoff in 5 years. But Cordero Patterson's an absolute dog when it comes to returning kickoffs. I got excited about that. But, yeah, man, I don't think I think most teams are going to just kick the touchback. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I did see AJ Dillon is out for the year. I mean, just that's absolutely killer for the Packers. And like them getting Josh Jacobs, like I liked it, and I don't think that's a bad move. It's just I don't know if it's going to have the same impact. And do the Packers really use power running schemes? And have we ever seen the Packers stay consistent with the run game? That's my questions. Um, yeah. Okay, so George, John, do you think Aiyuk will play for the 49ers? Things feel ugly. I have this feeling Adam Peters is going to make a move for him. With the Aiyuk situation, I got fatigue. And the reason why I got fatigue of it is because I don't think he knows what he wants. Like if he wants to get paid, like he should have went to the Patriots. I truly believe the reporting that they had the deal in place, 49ers agreed, and then he turned down the contract extension with the Patriots. I firmly believe that. So we don't know what the fuck he wants. And does he want to go to the Steelers? Well, yeah, I could see why the Steelers want him, but I don't know, man. Like, I honestly think he will play for the 49ers because I think he wants to be there. Like, I obviously he wants more money, but I don't think he's prepared to leave. Like, if he went to the Patriots and he did this whole charade to get to the Patriots, I would commend him. I would commend him for maximizing his earning potential. I feel like that's a good move for him, but he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. And also, I've always liked Aya. I, I don't know if he's in the same class of guys like Justin Jefferson, Waddle, Tyreek the Thrill Hill. That's up for you guys to decide and GMs to decide. CD Lamb, like I don't think he's in that class. I just don't. And you know, Patriots offered him 30 million, and that puts him in that class. I just don't think he's even close to worth that much. I don't. Ramblers and gamblers, all best wishes from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Let's bust the books. Happy to see you, man. Happy to see you. Yeah, man. I'm ready to go this year. Okay, Drew against the spread says Danny Dimes or Danny Ducks over under 8.5 interceptions for the year. Bro, the reason why that's tough is he could get injured at any time. But I'm gonna go with an unpopular take. I don't feel like that Giants offensive line was as bad as people were saying last year. I just think it's because Daniel Jones isn't good and he doesn't help the offensive line. When Tyrod was in there, when DeVito was in there, yes, the offensive line got their ass whooped. Like, yeah, it's a bottom third offensive line. We all know that. But I don't feel like my main issue with Daniel Jones is I don't feel like he helps the offensive line at all. And also, we know his physical skills with the arm aren't all that great. Doesn't have good decision making. He's more of like a one read type of quarterback. But yeah, I think he's going to struggle if he plays more than 8 games. I think he's going over 8.5. We'll see if he's able to play. This sticks. I'm fatigued and I'm a 49ers fan. Yeah, it sticks. Like you agree with what I'm saying. Like the problem is I don't think he knows what he wants. And he's making declarations, yet he doesn't know what he wants. That's what's made it so confusing. Um, yeah. Okay. Okay. And honestly, if we're talking week one, Jets at 49ers, if we're talking week one, I feel like the more relevant story is Trent Williams. I don't know. Since we got 49ers fans in here, I mean, we're all better, so we're fans of every team we're betting. But for the Jets game, like, I think fucking Trent Williams is a lot more relevant, especially when you look at there's 3 Shanahan schemes in the league. You got the 49ers, you got the Dolphins, you got the Texans. Is it a coincidence that those are probably the 3 best offenses, in my humble opinion? I don't think so. And it's because they mask offensive line play really well. But if you look at this 49ers offensive line outside of Trent Williams, it's bad, man. It's bad. It's not good. And do I think that Jets defensive front's going to be going to absolutely destroy them? I do. I do. Like, I think that's going to be an ugly game. And if you ask me who I would rather have going into that game, I'm taking Trent Williams, and they can win without Brandon Aiyuk. And one thing I've always wondered about the 49ers is why isn't there some sort of an increased role for George Kittle? That's one thing I've been pondering, and maybe Aiyuk getting out of there might actually be a benefit in disguise. I mean, because I know some people are excited about the rookie wide receivers they brought in. I'm gonna have to see that on film, but if you can run the ball and you have McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo Samuel to throw to, I don't know if I'd be too worried. Long term, maybe, but I don't think I'd be too worried. What's up, Kevin Wolford? Money, money, money. Um, yeah. Well, with Ayuk, man, it's complicated. It's it's complicated, man. Yeah, Kittle is awesome. And honestly, I don't think we've seen the best out of Kittle yet. Um, I don't, but I could be wrong on that. Yeah, send some questions into YouTube. So I got a lot to talk about. Pegas. Ah, okay. So, yeah, like that's the thing with the 49ers. Kittle's always blocking. It's just, you know, if you pass the ball, he can go out. And I would like to see some more shit designed for him. And I think Ayuk being out of the equation would make that possible. But we'll see, man. I'm excited about it. Yeah, in that division. So I anyone else think the Cardinals are gonna make us some money against the spread? Like I know this isn't good for viewers or anything like that. I know like no one's like chomping at the bit to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. But for me, man, like I think the Cardinals are going to cover spreads this year. Pretty damn excited about it. Yes. Keith Brandon, home of the money picks. Yeah, man. I'm ready to get going. I'm ready to get going with it. So and let's talk about the Vikings. I I kind of think the Vikings can surprise. Like, obviously, I'm a Vikings fan. I will be holding off betting their games, especially the first 4 weeks. We got to see Sam Darnold. But I'll tell you what, that Vikings at the Giants is just calling my name. And the Giants defensive line looks really good. Like Thibodeau, Brian Burns. It looks really good, man. And Giants are good in the interior defensive line as well. Obviously, like the Giants improved this year, but I'm looking at my chops. Brian Flores sending zone blitzes at Daniel Jones for 60 plays. You gotta think you gotta think the Vikings are gonna win the turnover battle that game. And you look at the Giants offensive line signings, like I said, like I felt like some of the offensive line criticism was overblown. Like I actually feel like the Titans had a worse offensive line last year, but Daniel Jones has not helped the offensive line. And I think he's going to absolutely just collapse. He's going to collapse on live TV. No, not like a heart attack or anything like that, but we're going to see his demise. Like it's due, man. It has to be due. And we can say what we will about Daniel Jones, but this is a confidence game. And when I see him, like I just see like low confidence. I see him mentally defeated. Like I know he's never had like a domineering stature. Like I know he's not gonna like walk in the room uh and command the room or anything like that. Like it's not like Tom Brady walking in the room with that type of confidence, but man, he looks defeated. Like body language like this, looking down. He won't look anyone in the eye. You guys remember that press conference where he was like this with the Adderall eyes, like worried about him. Ever Aguiar. I'm thinking Texans going Super Bowl. I'm cautiously optimistic. If I had to pick a surprise team to go to the Super Bowl, man, I think it could be the Texans. I'm bullish on the Texans. And I do think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment to CJ Stroud, like weeks 7 through the playoffs last year. He was absolutely demolishing defenses. Like, I do think there's going to be an adjustment period for CJ Stroud. But look at these weapons. And them just pretty much getting Stephon Diggs on a 1-year rental. And everyone wants to say Diggs is done. No, like, does Stephon Diggs have an attitude problem? Probably. But at the end of the day, you have him for 1 year. The offensive line was banged up the whole year last year. You get that offensive line healthy. You got Bobby Slowick as offensive coordinator. Not sure why he wasn't signed as a head coach. That one was puzzling. And I'm looking at this Texans defense, and you bring in Danielle Hunter to bring with Will Anderson, and I'm just saying, like, how do you block that? And how is Will Anderson not going to keep getting better? And then I like the secondary more than most people. Like, you got Petrie. Like, I know second corner is a bit of a problem, but, like, even in that Giants game, we saw Stingley have that great interception deep. Like, I'm bullish on the Texans. I'm bullish on DeMeco Ryans. I know this is old news for you guys. I mean, we've been in on the Texans since week 3 last year. So, yeah, hopefully we have another Texans-Lions this year. I mean, Lions front runners, people picking Lions to win the Super Bowl goes a long way from when we first started betting. Okay. I do think the Texans defense is good. I think they're above average. I do. But it is a question. I think they're above average. I think they're going to be pretty damn good. I still can't believe they gave Daniel Jones that contract. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I mean, that Cardinals offense is looking pretty good. Agreed. Okay, what's my extreme early Super Bowl pick? I mean, picking Super Bowls are so hard, but I'm going to go Jets. And I'm going to go Jets Lions. And this Jets thing has been haunting me all offseason. Open to your guys' takes on it. Like, I'm not attacking the spreads. I'm not going to attack Jet spreads probably yet, because there's a lot we need to see. I'm worried about Robert Saleh, but I think it's the best defense we're going to see this generation with the new NFL rules. Like Sauce Gardner, Reed on the other side, a fucking Quincy Wilson at linebacker is phenomenal. I mean, do we even need to get into the defensive line? Although Will McDonald's going to need to step up this year for them to be as good as last year. And then I'm looking at the offensive line for the Jets, guys. I know. We have to respect offensive line. It's not just something you go sign the best player and put him in and you think that unit's going to be good. Like, I get it. But you bring in Tyron Smith at left tackle for Aaron the Game Rodgers. Elijah Vera Tucker back healthy at guard. When he was a rookie, he was one of the best guards in the league. I think they're going to be good run blocking. And when you got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers who can read the field, I feel like that's enough. even if they're average pass blocking, I think they'll reach that mark, and I think they can go. Now, I do worry about the other options outside of Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's phenomenal. Like, for instance, like I think Garrett Wilson's better than Brandon Aiyuk. Um, Stats guys are going to go crazy, but can we really count stats for can we really count stats for people like Garrett Wilson or Drake London when Zach Wilson and Desmond Ridder are throwing you the ball? No, like we have to be fair and we just have to watch the film. And I think Garrett Wilson is nasty. Worried about Mike Williams staying healthy, but I do think people are being a little bit dramatic about that. Because, yes, Mike Williams, throughout his time with the Chargers, has always picked up injuries. We know that. He's always on the injury report. If you're betting the Chargers, thank God we don't have Brandon Staley this year. Thank God, thank God, thank God. Get on your knees and pray we don't have Brandon Staley to deal with this year. But, yes, we know Mike Williams is always banged up. But up until last year, he always played. He always played. So if Mike Williams is out there with Garrett Wilson, pretty good tight end in Conklin, Breece Hall is phenomenal. I think the Jets can do some things, man. And I do think maybe this Chiefs thing is reaching its end point. Now, one thing that really pissed me off during the offseason was the Chiefs being able to sign Hollywood Brown on the cheap and no one else inquired. Like for instance, like the Jags overpay, give a fucking gigantic contract to Gabe Davis, and then Hollywood Brown's just going under the radar, and the Chiefs hit him with a low ball offer on a 1-year deal, and Pat Mahomes gets him. That's just kind of the stuff we get, and I guess that's why the Chiefs win. But if there's a team that can take Pat Mahomes out of the playoffs matchup-wise, it has to be this Jets defense, right? Now, on the other side, Lions, I felt like the Lions did everything perfect this offseason. Same with the Texans. And you guys know I love Dan Campbell, and he won everyone on this channel a ton of money, boatloads of money. He bought me a new car, so I'm very loyal to Dan Campbell. I like his aggression. I know he took a lot of criticism for what happened against the 49ers, but that's why he's won us so many bets. He's aggressive, and he looks to win, and he looks to go for the throat, and I feel like that's how you have to play in this league. I get people don't like that, especially when it goes wrong, but they love it when it goes right. You have to give and take. I do think this Lions running game can help them. I am a little bit worried about if the Lions have to go on the road in the playoffs, but we see a 49ers team that looks more vulnerable. We see an Eagles team that looks vulnerable. Obviously, 49ers, Eagles are great teams, but I do feel like they're vulnerable. And I love what Detroit did with their secondary, getting Carlton Davis. And I feel like Jameson Williams on offense at wide receiver is going to have a breakout year as a deep threat. And the offensive line's still intact. It's the best offensive line in the league, undisputed now that Jason Kelce's retired. Yeah, man. So I got Lions Jets. The easy pick is to go Chiefs 49ers, Chiefs Eagles. And I'm surprised no one's brought up the Buffalo Bills. And I'll tell you right now, I'm worried about Buffalo. I'm worried about Miami. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm worried about them both. I'm looking at this Bills wide receiving core, and I'm just wondering what the hell are they doing? And if they had to trade Stephon Diggs, you have to trade him. We know the Bills are in one of the worst cap situations outside of the New Orleans Saints in this league. So we have to be fair with the criticism. Then we see once training camp opens, maybe the best defensive player outside of Rousseau. Matt Milano gets hurt. He's probably going to be done until late December. And then I'm looking at this wide receiving core that Brandon Beane is assembling for Josh Allen. I'm just scratching my head. You draft Keon Coleman in this draft. Like, why not get Brandon Thomas Jr.? Why weren't they more aggressive addressing the situation? And when you look at their wide receiving core, everyone is the same. They're all slot guys. And I know you got Khalil Shakir for the outside. But, bro, him against press man-to-man, can you imagine Matt Collins? I mean, it is really, really spare, or what is it, sparse? There's nothing there in that cupboard. I'm worried about Josh Allen this year. Now, obviously, they're going to try to go more horizontal pass game, more checkdowns, get it out of his hand, run the ball more. But they lost like a lot of really fucking good, reliable players like Jordan Poyer. They lost a ton. Tre'Davious White, although Tre'Davious White last year and a half, he's barely played. But the point still stands, and I'm worried about the Bills, and I feel like this is a year in transition for them. You understand what I'm saying? Looking forward to it, though. And about the Dolphins. And about the Dolphins. Offense line stinks, but at least it's a Shanahan scheme, so it never turns into a huge issue. They always start the season great, although I'm not biting at the bit to bet them laying 3.5 to the Jags week 1. I don't know about you guys. And I am worried about this defense still. I do like some of the additions they made on defense, but I'm still worried about it. You know, you sign Odell Beckham. He's on the PUP list. We don't know when he's coming. And if I was allotting resources for the Dolphins, Odell Beckham would be the last fucking thing on my brain. So that was concerning. Yeah, man. I'm worried about the Dolphins as well. Defensive end like Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. When are they coming back? Yeah, man. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. Okay, let's see if we got any more questions. Okay. What's up, DeAndre Pittman? What's up, Heinz Buck? Okay. Andrew Manara, Browns have a better shot than the Giants. Yeah, maybe, but I'm worried about Deshaun Watson still. I don't know. I don't care how many bets we've won betting Browns games, but I'm worried about Deshaun Watson. I think we're going to see Jameis Winston this year with the way Deshaun Watson's shoulder is, and even if that shoulder is good, has he played good football? Yeah. Julio, Cards definitely going to print money covering spreads. Gannon, no joke. I kind of agree. I think that's a very good offense. Like Michael Wilson at wide receiver is a guy I'm excited about. Trey McBride might be I kind of think, I'm not trying to get overboard here, but I kind of think McBride is going to be a top 5 tight end this year. Defense obviously doesn't have a lot of talent. When Gardecki's your best pass rusher, that's where the caution lies. Okay. Let's see some questions. Okay, Lawson, what are your thoughts on the Browns spread pick? Not on board with it yet. I don't want to go too much into week 1. But my main equation is I'm not excited about the Cowboys. I'm not excited about the changes in the Cowboys offensive line. I think the Browns defense matches up very good in the secondary. If you take out CD Lamb, who is that going to throw it to? Ferguson is good at tight end, but I think the point still stands. Like Brandon Cooks is going to beat him. Okay, I'll take my risk there. On the other side, yeah, Nick Chubb being out week one for the Browns is a little bit of a blow, but I think we all kind of saw that coming. I think people are underestimating how many injuries the Browns had on the offensive line last year. Like by the time we were at like week 12, week 13, they had like one fucking starter. And we know that offensive line can go, especially when we're talking from a run blocking perspective. So yeah, man, I like the Browns in this matchup, and Deshaun Watson should be healthy. We know that's a problem. We know his play is a problem, but I don't think he's going to be asked to do much. And I think there is a clear blueprint to beat the Cowboys. Just run the ball down their throat, hit them with play action. And I do wonder if this Cowboys defense takes a little bit of a step back without Dan Quinn in the equation. I just know one thing I like, and I told you guys this last year when we bet the Browns against the Bengals week one. I like Kevin Stefanski in these situations. Week one, preparing his team, getting his team cooked right. That's one thing Andy Reid's always done well. I know they lost to the Lions week one last year, but he always has his team cooked well and ready to roll week one. Can't say the same thing about Dallas. And I think Kevin Stefanski is a very good coach who has some very, very tough situations. Deontay Foreman is good. DB, I think they caught Deontay Foreman. Don't quote me on that, because I'm sure you guys saw the NFL's like system went down the other day, and the waiver wire in the NFL wasn't working for the team, so we're a little bit delayed on everything. Okay. Yeah, Jared Hart, I'm worried. I don't know what the Falcons did. When I saw Penix was a clean scratch week 2 of the preseason, it just makes me nervous. As someone who has an NFC South future bet for the Falcons to win, it makes me nervous when I see that type of junk. It does. And I'm not wavering. At least I'm getting Judon gave me a little bit more swagger in my pick. But yeah, the Penix situation was troublesome, and I don't know what they mean by it. I don't know what the goal is. If you got a rookie, you want to get him as much work as possible. If Kirk's going to be the starter week one, I mean, we saw Bijan Robinson come out today and said Kirk Cousins is ready for week one against the Steelers. But I'm still very, very nervous about that situation I saw transpire in preseason, and I don't understand it. No one really explained it. And we don't need to understand everything about NFL teams. But the Falcons have been confounding this offseason, and it's hard to have good vibes about them, even though I actually do. I feel good about the Falcons going into this year, but some of the stuff they do just makes you scratch your head and say, like, what are they doing? Do you think the Seahawks defense will be dominant this year? I think they're going to have a big tick up. When I look at Mike McDonald, like I feel like he deserved this job. He's one of the few of this new coaching class I'm excited about. I'm actually excited about him the more I've been thinking about it. And this Seahawks defense was way too passive last year. Way too much zone, way too much cover for a lot of the young players I was excited about, like their big corner. I'm blanking on the name. He's like 6'4" and runs a 4.4 40. He was disappointing last year, and I just felt like that defense was overall disappointing. The thing with the Seahawks is I'm more worried about the offense. That's where I'm at with it. I do wonder what they can do, and I do think some people are counting them out a bit too much. And if you really, I know it's a quarterback-driven league. I get it. But you look at all the Rams hype and you compare their roster player for player with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks have a better roster and the Rams have a better quarterback. I know that wasn't a question, but I do feel like that comparison speaks volumes. And I do wonder what Geno Smith's going to do this year. He was frustrating last year. Uh, but I also think like that defense didn't play up to its potential. Maybe I'm overrating the defense. I felt like that defense would be top 10 last year, but it wasn't for me on my rankings. Um, I well, you do wonder what Denver's going to do. Week 1, Denver at Seattle. What is it? Denver +5, or is it down to Denver +4? You do wonder what Denver's going to do. You do wonder. I just know Sean Payton's going to keep games close and cover spreads. That's all I know. I do. That is one game I feel like we need to watch. Not live, okay, because there's a lot of action going on opening Sunday. But that's one game we have to watch Monday in full. I'll be watching every game anyways. Once it's Monday. But that's one game I'm going to have to rewatch, and we're going to learn a lot from that game. Yeah, I do think that I think the Patriots are the worst team in this league. I think Denver will be more competitive than them, even with Denver's cap issues. Yeah, I'm excited about it. What teams do you think are sneaky or dark horses this year? Okay, good question, Jake. Um, whew, I've been thinking about obviously this is one I'm thinking about a lot. Now, in I think obviously the Jets. Like I know they're slight favorite to win the AFC East, but I think the Jets can make a run in the playoffs this year. I one team that I think everyone's dark horse is the Bears. Like I think there's potential. The Bears are better than the Packers once we get to week 8, week 9. Like I don't think the Bears are going to come out from the jump, but I could see a world where the Bears finish above the Packers. Actually, I do think they will. Kind of like the Commanders because I like Jaden Daniels. I know there's a lot of Caleb Williams, Bo Nix hype because of what we saw during preseason, but I've liked what I've seen out of Jaden Daniels a lot. I'm more excited about him than Caleb Williams. I'm not talking long term, but I'm talking let's go this year. I think the Jags will be better than people think. Like everyone thinks the Jags are going to suck. I don't think that. I think that's people overreacting to the stimuli that happened. They were 8-3 and they completely collapsed. Like I do think people are getting a little bit dramatic with it. Some of the Lawrence hate is getting a little bit dramatic. Yeah. Now let's see what other teams. Yeah, some people are saying I'm way too high on the Falcons, but I get it. Like we've seen the Falcons choke away everything. Like we saw the Falcons dominate some games last year and they only finished with 7 wins. Like I get it. Now, I do think the Cardinals can be sneaky, but that's more for covering spread purposes. And I think the betting markets have caught up to it. Like, because I think betting them to go over 6.5 wins is like down to like minus 160. I mean, that's the same thing with the Vikings. Michael Mann was excited about betting the Vikings over 6.5 because of Sam Darnold. I mean, when he got it, I think it was like minus 115. Now that's like minus 155. Yeah, so and I guess one like dark horse is like I think the Rams are going to struggle this year. I think the Colts are going to struggle. Those are 2 teams that I think will struggle. I think the Bills will struggle. Not like struggle. I don't think the Bills are going to get 8 wins because once you have like a top 5 elite quarterback, you're kind of guaranteed 9 wins. You kind of know they're going to get at least 9 wins. But I think we could see the Bills at home for the playoffs. And and between the Chargers and the Raiders, the Chargers have one of the easiest schedules in the league. I don't know if you've taken a yonder at this schedule. My goodness, this is set up perfectly for Harbaugh. But they got no one to catch the ball. And people are forgetting how much Brandon Staley decimated this team. Like talent-wise, defensive-wise. Look at the Chargers secondary. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So I'm going, Michael Mann, do you want to come on? We can get Michael Mann on for like 15 minutes, then I'll wrap it up because I think I thought. Okay, one question. Okay, Dicko, I missed your question on Patreon. When will the executive lounge be open, John? Great idea for the best of the week. And no, okay, so on Patreon, we got the normal $5 a month. Nothing's going to change. The executive Patreon option, the executive table. I'm going to post player props. I'm going to do more work there. I'm going to explain every single bet I make. And then also going to get a link to the Discord. And then we're thinking about adding more to the executive table. It's really about your guys' needs. So the regular Patreon still $5, nothing changing. I'll update you guys about the executive table later this week because there's a lot I want to do with it. Yeah, Coop, excited about the Texans, man. You're Texans. I'm excited about the Texans. Bullish. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and did anyone else see Ritter got hurt? No, Ritter got cut. I mean, like, I don't wish anyone to be cut, but I do have to say, I felt a little satisfaction of Ritter being cut because I told you guys going into last year, the way I watched the way Arthur Smith use him, but more so not use him during preseason, it was a red flag for me. I felt like Arthur Smith was hiding. For executive, I think it's like $11.95. So, like I said, no one's gonna miss out on any spread bet I do if you go with the $5 option. So, executive, like I'm gonna go in more detail, more player props. Like every NFL and soccer bet will still be up on the $5 one. So, but I think executive will be worth it. We're gonna do a Discord page for it. I'm gonna do live betting for it. So that's where I'm at. Because with Patreon, like I can't, if we're doing live betting, like I can't communicate all that quick. Yeah, I'm working on merchandise, Jake. Working on merchandise. Unfortunately, I'm not in the United States, so it's hard to ship out. So that's my problem. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man. I did try to make a shirt. So no one really had too much interest when I made the shirt. I thought the design was dope. But I don't want to sell like because like when you do the merch on the internet, like yeah, there's like sites that will do it for you, but they'll charge like fucking like 58 for a low quality hoodie. And you'll get like $6 off of it. So like I'm not trying to price gouge anyone. Come on, Nat. Come on, man. But yeah, like you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When was the last time you watched a Sam Darnold game? Hopefully not recently. Yo, Leo, how do you feel about the Ravens, man? How do you feel about the Ravens? Give it to us straight. Like, are you bullish or are you nervous? It's tough not to be bullish on the Ravens. I'll tell you one division I don't want to pick. Like, I don't want to pick the AFC North winner because I feel like there's three really good teams. Like, you got the Ravens, you got the Bengals, you got the Browns. Like, I think the Browns are really good. Like, maybe I'm overrating them because they win us a lot of bats, but yeah, man. I'm excited about. I'm bullish on that division. It's tough with the Ravens because the only flaw I can pick is losing Mike McDonald, but they hired someone from the same staff, so the scheme's not going to change. I'm like, what are they going to have? Like 3 new offensive line starters? Like, I don't know why they were tinkering with the offensive line. Seemed to be working fine. Yo, what's up, J Sop? What's up, J Sop? Yeah, man. Ready to get into the year. Ready to get in the year.
Hey,
what's up, Mike?
Good to see you, brother. How are you?
Dude, I'm good. I'm good. Your mic sounds good. All right, good. So let's go for let's go for 15, 20 minutes. Just respond to anything I said.
Okay. Kind of put the onus on me there. So start with your Vikings. How are you feeling about them this year?
If we get to play Daniel Jones every week, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Dude, I want to bet that game. I'm really thinking about it.
It's tough not to bet. Go on.
There are a lot of good matchups in your favor in that game, I think. Like you already said, I mean, Brian Flores having his way with Daniel Jones for 60 minutes is certainly appealing to anyone who's betting that game. And I don't think the Giants defense, even with their new defensive line, is the type of defense schematically that would mess with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, because this guy was the defensive coordinator with the Titans.
Yeah.
And yes, he didn't call the plays, but he doesn't blitz a lot. Like,
yeah,
they're going to sit back in zone.
And that's the way you beat Sam Darnold. You blitz him every single play until he fumbles or throws a pick on you. You don't let him sit in the pocket and get comfortable.
Yeah, and honestly, like if Kevin O'Connell can make Dobbs and make Nick Mullins look good at times, like, I think Sam Darnold's an option.
Yeah, and I want to clarify on that too. Like, listen, I know I've been high on the Vikings this offseason. I'm not high on the Vikings because of Sam Darnold. I am high on the Vikings because of Kevin O'Connell, because of Brian Flores, and because of their offensive line and the weapons they have on that offense. My thing about Sam Darnold is I just don't think he's going to be the reason they're bad, or at least the biggest reason they're bad, I should say. And you know this, but I have watched every Sam Darnold snap he's taken in the NFL since 2021. And I'm here to tell you now, like, he is a serviceable quarterback as long as you are not putting him in a Mission Impossible type situation. If you give him an offensive line, which I think the Vikings will with Darisaw and O'Neal, and you give him a decent receiver, he can make things happen. Is he going to be a top 15, 20 guy? Maybe not, but he will not be, a Zach Wilson, a Russell Wilson, who else have we? A Teddy Bridgewater, someone who's going to hold you back, I should say.
Can we get to the Steelers? Like, I kind of agree about the Vikings. It's just cautiously optimistic. Like, the offense should be good. I think you summed it up well on Darnold. Like, people are biting the bit to bet that week 1 against the Giants. Like, that went from don't touch that. Like, I was kind of actually thinking oh, Giants could cover some spreads this year, but I can't do it, Daniel Jones. Like you said, the matchups in that game are horrible. So let's get to the Steelers. I need your opinion on this. Go on.
Their secondary sucks, the Giants. I don't know if you've taken a look at some of those names, but, they're definitely banking if their pass rush just takes over every game.
Yeah, I think it's bad. Like I said, Daniel Jones makes the offensive line look worse. That's one thing I felt didn't get enough coverage last year. I know no one wants to defend offensive linemen, but Jesus, man, Tyrod Taylor and DeVito look better under the offensive line in terms of pocket presence. Let's get to another guy who I think lacks pocket presence at this point. What are the Steelers doing? Okay, I'm going to lay out the argument for Russell Wilson. Well, people are coping. Steelers fans are coping, saying, well, he doesn't turn the ball over, which I don't know if I'm necessarily sold on that. He's not, unless they're going to check it down every play. Secondly, they're saying, well, then you can let Justin Fields come in as a spark later in the year. Like, what are these copes?
And not to mention, listen, if you're on that offense, who do you want leading your team? You want to deal with Russell Wilson or do you want to deal with Justin Fields? I'm taking Justin Fields every time.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, and at a certain point, don't you have to gamble? Don't you have to roll the dice in the middle and see what happens? And also, I said this earlier. Is there a worse schematic match than Arthur Smith with Russell Wilson? Like, even when Arthur Smith like ran a really like pro style offense with Tannehill was good in play action. Like, I don't even think Russell Wilson's good at play action. I don't know what he's good at.
I think Smith could work wonders with some Fields zone read stuff, because that was something he did with Mariota when he had him in Atlanta for a bit, and it actually worked quite effectively. And I think that's something that could carry over to Pittsburgh. I definitely feel like that's a better fit than what they're trying to do with Russell Wilson.
And I don't know if you've observed this offensive line during preseason.
Oh, for the Steelers?
Golly.
Yeah. I saw a few clips, and that was all I needed.
Yeah, like, golly, like, they can't run block, they can't pass block, and that's where I'm at. Like,
I'm a fan, and that made me cringe watching the Steelers offensive line.
NFC South now, like, it has to be the Falcons this year, right? It has to be.
I guess. My thing is, so the Falcons have low-key kind of been the most talented team in the division for the last 2 years. And I know you can recall, I've picked them to win the division multiple times, and every time I do it, they just let me down. So this is their year. They should win it. I definitely have some questions. But I think picking them is like picking the lesser of all the evils, I think, in the division. Because none of these teams I feel like are very good.
No, I don't think they're good. I don't think anyone's good. And I actually think the Falcons should be a good football team, but that's questionable. The 2-down thing makes me feel a little bit better.
They keep doing like weird things that really kind of like make me raise my eyebrows a little bit. Like, why is Raheem Morris not calling plays on defense? Did you see that?
I did see that. I'm trying not to look too into it. And like Sean Moore says, who's going to be the first coach fired? He thinks Dennis Allen. I'm leaning there because that's just what the Saints do. Like, not changing the subject to deflect from the Falcons, but isn't that kind of what like the Saints do? Like, this is a team that refuses to rebuild, so they're going to just keep trying to change shit, even though.
I know we have Lauren in the chat, and she might shut me down, but I think there's a recipe where the Saints are like 4-13 this year. Have you seen their offensive line? Like the names on that offensive line?
Dude, I'm gonna send her a link. But yeah, like I've seen it, and like if Ryan Ramczyk isn't healthy, I don't even know.
He's out for the year. Eric McCoy is probably the best guy they have.
It's bad. And look at how many first round picks they spent on offensive linemen. And it sucks.
All of their 5 linemen, 4 of them are either picked in the first or second round. And they only have one good. Their center is the only one who's really like any talented. And not to mention, and that's tough too, because I don't know if there are not too many other quarterbacks who are more rattled by pressure than Derek Carr. And you're putting him behind that offensive line for the season.
Yeah, and I got to respond to this comment, like, not to be scattered brain, but Russ had something like 35 touchdowns and 7 turnovers last season. He put up good numbers. Fields ain't doing that. Like, and then he goes on to comment, like, we're judging the preseason. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm not.
Since we're talking about stats, I think it was like 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But that's a Sean Payton offense. Like, that's what he does. He makes people look good statistically.
Well, and you remember the last 9 games of the year, they had their defense was producing 3 or 4 turnovers a game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, against the Patriots and Vikings, like, I remember those 2 games. He gets the ball at, like, the opposing team's 5-yard line, does a play action, throws a little dump off to the fullback, touchdown. Like, man, Russell Wilson's bad. He really is. Like, and I don't know why we don't take this dog out like an old yeller him, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, and like the Colts are crazy, Mike. The Colts are crazy. Like, here's another Colt I keep hearing that has been driving me nuts.
Yeah.
The Colt I keep hearing is, well, he's playing on veterans minimum. Bro, it's the fucking NFL. If there would be owners who would pay Pat Mahomes $500 million a year if we didn't have a damn salary cap, like, why are we coping about like capology when it doesn't make a fuck bit of difference? What happens on the field? They're betting.
Then I think the name brand of Russell Wilson just is what is really keeping him in the league at this point. Look at Taylor Heineke. I feel like Taylor Heineke has played around the same level of football as Russell Wilson, and Taylor Heineke doesn't have a job right now. Not starting job. Sorry,
but man, and I don't know if you watched that offseason Hard Knocks with the Giants, but we've seen we saw a lot, and I don't know if you saw that, but they're lazy.
Yeah,
that's like, listen, you can be wrong about a player and whatnot, but they're lazy, and that's bad.
That Hard Knocks was really good, by the way.
It was.
They were going to move on from Daniel Johnson. They could.
Yeah, and that's why I loved it, and I think it showed like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they really.
And that's the thing with the Steelers. Like, it's tough to like go against Tomlin. No one wants to do it, but I don't think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, they don't. The issue is they don't have a direction, and I feel like there are a couple teams like that in the league who just do not have a direction right now, and they're just kind of spiraling in mediocrity.
Lauren, what's up? You want to talk about the Saints?
I mean, not really, but sure. Here's the thing. I will tell you this. Like, so we know that they're just not, their pieces. I mean, they're just not good. I don't hate on Derek Carr as much as a lot of other people do. But he's not. I mean, we were spoiled with Drew Brees for so many years. I mean, really, you look at Tom Brady and Drew Brees, when you have quarterbacks like that, you're spoiled. So, we're just kind of like playing ring around the rosy with quarterbacks.
Do you think the Panthers can finish ahead? Oh, sorry to cut you off. Do you think the Panthers can finish ahead of the Saints this year?
No,
not
at all. Now, I think that the Panthers are going to be a little bit better this year because it's hard to be worse. But, well, I mean, I'm not trying to be like an ass, but
no, it's true. They're about as bad as an NFL team.
It's funny that the only way they can go is up. They cannot get worse than what they were.
Yeah, no, they definitely can't. They definitely can't go down. You know what I mean? They're, but I don't think Tampa's going to win the division. I'm sorry, I don't think Atlanta's going to win the division. It's Tampa's going to win it again. They didn't lose anybody. Everybody's still there.
Lost their offensive coordinator, turned Baker Mayfield around.
Whatever. I mean, Atlanta's a cute story and all, but they were supposed to be a cute story last year. Listen, they've got a new coach. They're going to use Bijan probably the way that he's supposed to be. Kirk Cousins is obviously a good addition. I just don't think the pieces are there for them to win the division yet. I don't think you can take it away from Tampa.
Yeah, Lauren, I think you and I are kind of on the same page with Atlanta. I have them winning the division, but I don't feel comfortable at all with it because they've been before. And really, besides Kirk Cousins and a few guys on defense, that team is not that much better than it was last year.
I kind of agree, yeah. But about Tampa, I think that's part of the problem with Tampa Bay is that they stayed the same as last year because I feel like I said, I feel like that team is old. I feel like we're going to see a Baker Mayfield regression. The only thing they really did get better was offense line, which helps because you guys remember how bad they were running the football for like a 3-year period. Like they were worse in the league. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see it. Anyways, like give me pick apart some of the stuff I said about the Jets. Go on. We'll stay on for like 15 minutes. So go hard at me and then I'll respond.
Listen hold on a second. Before we get into that, I need to kind of talk to you, like talk about this whole Pittsburgh thing. You guys have spent like some time talking about. Yeah, you guys have spent some time talking about Pittsburgh. Has anybody looked at Pittsburgh's schedule? And I'm going to break down the key point. I'm going to break down the key points of this, okay? November 8th, they play Baltimore. Okay, we always know their rival games are tough and brutal and beat each other up, and that's just with anything. 4 days later, on a Thursday, they play Cleveland. Okay? The next week on the road, they go to Cincinnati. So now we're talking 3 divisional games right there. Then they come home to face Cleveland for the second time in 3 weeks. Then they go on the road to Philadelphia. Okay? Then after that, they come home and have Baltimore on the road. 4 road games in 5 weeks, all division rivals. And if that isn't bad enough, you then put them on a short week, Christmas, facing Kansas City. And then they got to end the season versus Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then Justin Fields is going to come in around that time when that stretch comes, and then everyone's going to say he sucks. Like,
well, I'm not sure. Like, has anybody looked at that? Like, you're talking.
I'm on their under win total. Like, it's tough going under win total.
Under 8.5 was what it was, I think, 2 weeks ago. And seal the deal, give it to me. I put it in the bank. Like 8.5. There's no chance this team wins 9 games.
Yeah, a Ravens fan definitely up with that schedule. That is a brutal gauntlet they have.
Oh, from November 8th, which isn't even that late in the year. You know what I mean? It's like you're talking midway through the year, and you're talking from there on out. It just looks horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, they're going to get beat up.
Yeah, and I don't care. You can give me Justin Fields or Old Man Russ or, bring back what's his face. I don't give a shit who it is. No one is going to make it through that gauntlet. They don't have the capability or the team dynamic to make it through that division. That's probably the toughest division in all of football.
Yeah,
and yes, Cincinnati, I think, wins it.
The other thing too about that gauntlet is that not only are all really good, but they're all super physical teams. Like you play that team, and whoever it is, Baltimore, Cleveland, you play them, and it's like you need a week to recover.
Right, and they don't have a week. They don't even have 4 days.
Yeah,
half the time. Mm-hmm. You're putting this team against Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, 4 road games in 5 weeks, all division rivals, and then you're going to put them on a short week. And then you're going to put them on another short week on Christmas versus Kansas City. Good luck.
Yeah.
No chance. Sorry, that's
one reason why I spent so much time on the Steelers this show is because I wanted to pour some cold water because I've seen everyone saying Steelers +3 for like 5 months, and I feel like it needs a little bit of perspective. Week 1 against Atlanta. I'm not going to bet that game. I already know that, but I'm just saying, wanted to throw some cold water
Doesn't that feel like kind of a Falcons choke job waiting to happen though?
Yeah. But I just think that's not worth touching.
Like I could totally see the Steelers winning that by like 10 points out of nowhere. Because that's just what the Falcons do.
Yeah. It's crazy. There's a comment from added in the comment section. He's saying I don't know how the Steelers do it. They always manage to win 10 games. And you don't want to count them out. It's just,
streaks are made to be broken.
Yeah.
Hey, so can we kind of transition here? Someone in the chat brought this up, and it's something I've seen. Let me find this comment. Truth as I know it asked about name a player in the history of sports who played well the season after an Achilles tear. I'll wait. And this year we're looking at Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers both coming off Achilles tears. So I feel like that's definitely been something that's under discussed in terms of offseason. We haven't. Dan Marino did it. Dan Marino tore his Achilles and came back and looked awesome. Granted, that is Dan Marino. But, tearing an Achilles for most players is a career ender. Look at Richard Sherman. He tore his Achilles, and he went from being a Pro Bowl corner to basically being forced out of the league.
Well, what injury did Tom Brady have? You remember when they put in the roughing the passer rule where you can't go low? When Tony Pollard injured him week 1 or week 2 when he was out for the whole year. That was year Bill won
ACL.
9 games in that castle. Was that ACL?
Yes.
He probably was pretty good at it. But I do think it's relevant. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of wanted to hear your opinion on the AFC East. Definitely we need to get that in. So
the Jets have the top 2 defense, I think, one of the top defenses in the last 2 years. I think they're going to be they've beefed up a lot of people. I think this is going to be a big year for Breece Hall. I think Garrett Wilson has a good year. If you can get Rodgers on a 25-1 for MVP, why not?
Oh, you're bullish on the Jets. You're bullish on the Jets.
I think the Jets win the division.
Yeah, me too. And the odds aren't that bad. They're slight favorite. And I kind of agree with Vegas. They have it Jets, Dolphins, Bills. But yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, Michael, man, go.
Well, I was gonna say I mentioned this earlier, but I don't want to touch the AFC East because I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is gonna look. Coming off that Achilles and he's entering his age 40 season, I don't think this is just a simple he's going to come back and be 100% good to go. If he does, Jets are going to win this easily. But I'm not touching the AFC East because of that uncertainty.
I agree with your caution, but let me just counter this. Derrick Henry is going to be 30 going into the start of the season. At a certain point, can we just say some guys are unicorns? And they break the rules. I'm not trying to compare a quarterback with a running back, but yeah, I do get the hesitation. I am I'm more worried about Robert Saleh, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Hassan Reddick thing. Did you guys see that?
Oh, that's a choke job of epic proportion.
What are they doing? And Mike, I know maybe I'm sounding crazy, but I said it earlier. I need some feedback on it. I don't know. I think I would honestly take Bryce Huff above Hassan Reddick at this point. But
regardless on what you think of that, I just don't know how you trade for a player as good as Hassan Reddick without a plan to extend him, without knowing that we're definitely going to offer him a contract he cannot turn down. That's my problem with this.
So some people are asking, go on.
Carolina, here's the thing. Where are we really finding wins for them? I know they're going to be a little bit better. They lost Brian Burns.
The Panthers now? Okay, yeah, we'll go. Anyways, I just want to answer one question, Coop, about the Bills regression. Yeah, man.
I'm sorry. I was answering something in the chat. Yeah.
Just look at the Bills receiving core. So I think that's the Bills regression right there.
Yeah, Josh Allen's going to have to throw to somebody. I think it's a big year for Dalton Kincaid. I really do.
All right. Yeah. So, like, you want to bounce the Panthers, we can go to Panthers.
Just because here's the thing, like, so they lost Brian Burns. They traded for Deontay Johnson. Their win total is like the number's like 5.5.
Yeah.
I don't see 5 wins. Like, I just don't. So, like, I don't see that.
And no one likes betting unders on these win totals, and I don't understand that.
No, but I can't see. Not because I'm like, and I don't really see many wins out of the Saints either. So, like, the whole team is up for, the whole division's always up for grabs the last 3 years. But I think this is probably, and I think Atlanta's being overrated because of Cousins. I think Atlanta's maybe like a 7-10 team.
I think they'll be better than that, but
Yeah,
see, and
I think
this is the case for both the Panthers and Falcons. Playing in the NFC South, you're going to get some free wins essentially, and that's kind of why I'm not as sold that the Panthers are going to like completely suck this year. But yeah, I definitely am with you. That I think, or I'm not with you. I think Atlanta definitely goes like at least 9-8.
All right, before we go Super Bowl picks, because I got to go in 5 minutes. So Super Bowl picks.
Chiefs, Lions, Chiefs win.
you got the Chiefs going back again.
Yeah.
Who has beaten Mahomes in a playoff game? Who can beat Mahomes in a playoff game?
Oh, you're
only one I remember. It's been a long time.
Twice.
It's been a while.
Twice.
It's been
He's
a while.
lost 3 playoff games, once to Brady, twice to Mahomes. Give me Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. And NFC?
Oh, I said Lions.
No, I know you did. Who did Lauren say?
Gosh, the NFC is so bad.
Terrible.
They are so bad. I don't think it's going to be the 49ers again. I don't think it's going to be anybody from actually the NFC West. Sure as hell won't be anyone from the NFC South.
Nope.
So it's either going to be Detroit or I think Philly makes a good run again this year.
Yeah, you brought that up earlier, and I thought it was a pretty good prediction. I could definitely see Philly come back with a vengeance this year and taking it.
I think Jalen's going to have a good year. Adding Barkley is good. They actually added some really good pieces, even with Kelsey gone. I think that Philly fell off the wagon last year. Let's just say that week 9 or 10 or whatever it was. And I think they've got something to prove. I really feel like Philly makes a good run this year. I don't in a really cool world. I would love to see Dan Campbell and the Lions make it because they have all the pieces. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the Lions right now. They're going to be very good this year. Amon-Ra is going to have a hell of a year. They play in a dome quite a bit. But the 2 weeks that you're going to need Amon-Ra, that they are outside, are in play like December. And that's when it gets dicey, is when you throw them outside in the bad weather. But when they're in their dome, they are great. They added playmakers to their defense, and they're going to be explosive as always. And I don't know why everyone hates on Jared Goff. Like, I mean, to me, the kid has done nothing but wonderful things over there. So I would love to see the Lions do it, but I think Philly makes a pretty deep run, and I'm going with Cincinnati.
My 2 questions about Philly are both coaching related. One, I'm not sold that whatever the locker room opinion is of Nick Sirianni has just boiled over. And secondly, I don't know how Jalen Hurts is going to work in a Kellen Moore offense.
Yeah,
like
I thought that was a good comment in the comment section. Like, only thing I'm worried about is like Kellen Moore, that Sirianni Hurts relationship.
Well, and when I say Kellen Moore, I mean like schematically. Like, he's known to be a guy who likes to make his quarterback really sit in the pocket and process defenses and make the quarterback throw over the middle, and that's not Hurts' strong suit.
And
Well,
so,
what are the things that they did when they fell off the wagon last year, right? They fired their OC, and that's when they brought in Kellen Moore. So things weren't going well
Yeah, and
the second half of the year. So when they're not going well, you got to fix them. You got to change things. So bringing in Kellen Moore, I don't think is a big problem. I think he's there to kind of balance things out better, because whatever the hell they were doing last year sure as hell didn't work.
No, and I agree. I don't know if he's the solution here. Like, I think if he tries to bring the offense he used in Dallas to Philadelphia, I'm not certain it's going to work. At least enough to take them to the Super Bowl.
all right. Anyways,
We'll see.
we should end it there. We got your Super Bowl picks. I'm going Texans to win the whole thing.
You got the Texans to go to the Super Bowl?
Go look. Yeah, I think this offseason's really good. Like, and I'm even factoring in like a little bit of a Stroud fall off. Not saying he's going to fall off, but I think he's going to have like maybe 4 rocky weeks. Like, I don't think he's not going to turn the ball over at all. But I'm just saying this team is stacked. Like, I have a feeling like I haven't had a feeling about a team like this. Like, obviously, it's easy to have feeling about like the Chiefs in modern day NFL because you have Mahomes. I haven't had a feeling like this since the Vikings got Favre. And I know they came up short, but they were so dominant. Like, every single move this offseason, I completely agree.
They did, and I want to touch on that for 1 second. They did make some great moves. The only thing with Stroud is that teams can kind of game plan for him now. But you're absolutely right. Like, I think that team led by that coach is going to be very, very good. I hope they win that division. I just think people are sleeping on Jayville a little bit too much. You know, I mean, Trevor Lawrence was pretty much playing on one leg the end of last year, and so but I don't think their division is too hard for them to win, obviously. So I think you're onto something there. And CJ going to the playoffs his first year was absolutely amazing, and I was pulling for that kid like crazy. Just like I'm excited for the quarterback in Washington. Like, everyone's talking about Caleb Williams. I'm excited for this Jaden Daniels kid. So yes, I can see where Houston makes a deep run. I just don't know if they can make it all the way. But I agree that they're going to have a good season.
Anyway, so we'll cut it there. I'll get you guys on before the season starts again. So thank you for coming on.
Yep, good to be back. I'll see you later.
All right, happy to be back. You guys have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you, Lauren and Michael. Yeah, chat was great tonight. Chat was great tonight. And if I missed your question on Patreon, I'm going to just upload a video there and just answer everyone I missed. Like, my bad about that. What's up, Lomar? What's up, Prophet? What's up, The Truth? And thank you, Truth. Went hard in the comment section tonight. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. Sunday, noon Eastern, 1 Eastern, same time as the games. I'll have the Vegas spread picks up. I didn't want to go too much into the week 1 matchups, but we just went there organically. So I have some more input on it. And someone did mention in the chat, I didn't see who it is, over-unders. I know Coop exploited this last year. I exploited it in the video. Bro, over-unders week 1, we're going to kill that. We're going to go under on the line. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for joining me. The lights went out too. That was a little bit wild. Have a good one. Thank you, guys.